Pahlavi Dynasty, Part 4. However, during the period from May to July 1941, the British and their allies defeated the pro-Axis forces in Iraq and later in Syria and Lebanon. Allied occupation of Iran in June 1941, Nazi Germany broke the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact and invaded the Soviet Union, Iran's northern neighbor. The Soviets quickly allied themselves with the Allied countries, and during the summer of 1941, the British demanded that the Iranian government expel all Germans from Iran. Raza Shah refused to expel the Germans. On 25 August, the British and the Soviets launched a surprise invasion. Raza Shah's government quickly surrendered after less than a week of fighting. The invasion's strategic purpose was to secure supply line to Soviet Union, later named the Persian Corridor, secure the oil fields and Abadan refinery of the UK-owned Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, and limit German influence in Iran. As a result of the invasion, Raza Shah was forced to abdicate and was succeeded as Shah by Muhammad Raza Pahlavi. His 21-year-old son, Raza Shah, passed away on 26 July 1944 while in exile in South Africa at the age of 66. During the remainder of the World War II, Iran became a major conduit for British and American aid to the Soviet Union, as well as an escape for more than 120,000 Polish refugees and members of the Polish armed forces fleeing the Axis advance. At the 1943 Tehran Conference, the Allied Big Three, Joseph Stalin, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Winston Churchill, issued the Tehran Declaration, reaffirming their commitment to preserving Iran's post war independence and territorial integrity. Well, there were post war conflicts and there was the Iranian recovery. The Allied nations reassured the Iranian government that all foreign troops withdraw from the country by March 1946. Amid these assurances, the Tudeh Party of Iran, a communist party tied to the Soviet Union, became increasingly militant. In 1945, the Iranian government responded by deploying armed forces to restore order in the Tudeh dominated northern regions, while the party's strongholds in Iran, in Tehran, and Isfahan were suppressed. Soviet troops stationed in Azerbaijan province prevented Iranian forces from entering the region. The ensuing dispute triggered the Iran crisis, one of the first major confrontations of the Cold War. In a move directed by the Soviet Union, Azerbaijan's people government and the Republic of Mahabad were established in January 1946 as unrecognized secessionist states. However, following the international pressure at the United Nations as well as negotiations over oil concessions, Soviet forces withdrew from Iran in May 1946, allowing the Iranian army to rapidly dismantle both separatist governments. With the support of the United States, the oil concessions granted to the Soviet Union were subsequently revoked by the Iranian government. And then there were certain constitutional changes. Emerging victorious from the crisis in 1946, Muhammad Raza Pahlavi began pushing constitutional changes to promote social reforms and increase power of the monarchy through the uh, though he was advised against the course of action by foreign diplomats who considered it unwise to upset the separation of powers. They recommended that Iran should not go for the separation of power, and there was no need for such constitutional reforms.